The project was based on the Revolutionary War, and it was set up in two parts. The first part was the research part, and the second part was taking the research and putting it into a digital museum. The first part, the students were given artifacts that they needed to research on the web, and we went through a web search lesson about how to do research on the internet, and students were then told to find basically the who, what, when, where, why of different parts of the American Revolution and explain why that event was important. Once they had done their individual research, they took all that research together into a group and they combined their research, and then they put together an interactive digital museum to show the major events and people of the American Revolution.
I think that they learn that there's more to it than sometimes what you can talk about in class, and that there is a deeper subject than just a few bullet points that we have to talk about here in class. And it was a chance for them to go and expand into their own interest level, you know.
Most importantly, they gained research skills, and they learned how to find information and relevant information from credible sources. That was the hardest part for them because it was a new skill for them. But in the end, when I looked at their research and the information they were able to find, I was very impressed with what they came up with. They also learned how to work in a group and to plan together in a group. When they were in their group, they were assigning each other homework. They had to be accountable to their group. And they also learned how to do technology skills. Everyone brought a different level of expertise to their group, and that allowed everyone to learn more about how to use the different digital tools we gave them.
Definitely research tips. They're given a document or a photo, an image that they have no idea what it's about, and they learned how to Google search an image and find what that image was about. They were given, really no information except certain pictures, certain quotes, and they definitely came out knowing all the important events, all the important people of the Revolutionary War from just the research.
I really think their ability to research and their lack of knowledge on how to do internet research is what stuck out to me. This assignment really honed in on, do you know how to find information and how to find good information? And a lot of them struggled with it, but once they started to work with it, they started to build those skills, and they really improved doing that. I was also really impressed, like I always am, with their technology skills. Some of the final products they put together were really creative and with great information and very accurate.
It was cool because they got really interested in how to present the material. They got really interested in how to present the information. They had a lot of really cool ideas about what they wanted to do. So when if they came across a difficulty that they were having with it, it was cool to see that they had taken enough ownership in it to develop an opinion on transmitting that information. One of the things that sticks out in my head most is we're talking about the Declaration of Independence, and we were talking about, I'd asked what day that it was written, and the regular response is July 4th, 1776, that's the day. But she raised her hand, the student raised her hand, and she said, well, that was that day it was approved, So they proved that she had gone further into that subject, into the Declaration of Independence, than what I had talked about in class. So it was kind of cool to see that they were going deeper into the content. It was kind of cool. It was my indication that was happening.
I definitely have some students in the class that I did the project with that I feel like, because they found the information on their own, and they researched it and they dug for the answers, that their comprehension of the content was much stronger than me giving them all the information. I saw that in their test scores. So that, number one. The other thing is they definitely learned how to use different technology tools and how to display their information in a different way, I guess a more engaging way. I did a little kind of experiment, and I did this lesson with one of my classes, and I taught the Revolutionary War to my other class. And I do feel like when it's student-centered and they're finding the information, I do feel like the comprehension, they were able to comprehend more by having to find the information on their own, more student. They had a good time with, as long as everything was working. They had a good time in the groups putting the museum together, and finding like different, audio, different songs, different images, that without that, I think it wouldn't, I don't think they would have grasped the information as well, I guess, without the technology.
I think it enhanced the assignment. Definitely, like their ability to research things. I know that traditionally when you give a student, especially a 6th grade student, a task of researching a certain set of historical documents, it meets with a certain amount of adversity. They're not really willing to go and do that research. But when you show them that there's a way to get a quick, efficient way to get accurate information about those sources, like with the Google images where they could just drag the painting over, because that's kind of a hard thing to research, like a painting that you would have to would describe the painting in the Google, choose a few keywords and hope that it would come up, or scour through several images on Google for that. So it was kind of cool to show them how you can do quick, efficient, accurate historical research.
Technology was crucial for the assignment because all the research was done through the internet and through their laptops, so they needed those. Without that, they would have been back to books and paper, which is not going to be realistic for their future of finding information. And also, by using the different digital tools, they could really provide an interactive website for their information. And it also gave them the ability to share their information and put it out there for the public, for others to see. In the future, I would do more scaffolding on the research and maybe do a couple mini research assignments prior to this, so it wasn't so much for them. And I would make sure that they were well versed in the different digital tools, so they knew the tools, what each tool had to offer, so that they didn't start using a tool and decide they wanted to switch halfway through.
If I were to do this project again, the thing I would change about it would be, I suppose, cosmetic type stuff. What unit we did it on, we might wait and do it later on in the year. We talked about doing it for the Civil War instead of the Revolutionary War. But also, beforehand, giving them a little bit more experience ahead of time, for units prior to that unit, where they would just do the battles from one or certain pieces of information.
I think it was a lot of information for them to, first of all, research. That took a lot of time. The students that really did what they were supposed to do with the research told me it took about 4 hours was about the time limit. So I think I would have maybe just done the battles or just the people. I still like the displaying of it as a digital museum, and adding links, and because they were able to find not just the facts that they needed to know, but they were able to dig deeper and find more information about certain people, certain events. So I think I would scale it down to just a few things for them, but I still like the project of them digitally. And I personally, I kind of would like to maybe have them do the research, but then the end of the year maybe form the museum with something they enjoyed, that they learned this year. Make a digital museum about a certain topic.